I am reviewing Griselda for the third time in the past couple of months. And if I were reviewing this whole year, it would have been like the 10th time this year. This group has released, and this label and this network has released so many projects upon recent times, which does make sense after the amount of attention they've received from rappers like Eminem, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, and them coming with their WWCD last year, I think. Yeah, it was back in December of last year. They're a group whom has received a lot of attention lately, and they've been dropping very non-stop projects. We heard Benny back in, it was July, I think. We heard Conway only a couple weeks ago. I loved that recent Conway project. And this one we were supposed to hear back in August. However, this was pushed back a couple of weeks due to the passing of DJ Shay, which I did want to point out that I didn't realize the reason why the DJ Shay skits were on Conway's album were because they were not meant to show how great Conway was. They were meant to show tribute to Shay. So I probably should have recognized that when doing the review. I didn't realize that at the time, but I'm sorry for that. So essentially, From King to a God is perfect now. But anyway, I was really excited for Who Made the Sunshine for a couple reasons. Number one, it's just a new Conway, or not, this is not a new Conway, this is Westside Gunn. This is a new Westside Gunn project. I haven't heard all the other two projects he's released this year. I mean, I haven't heard Fly God is an Awesome God 2, despite how much I did enjoy the first Fly God is an Awesome God. I've just never really been at the moment where I want to listen to the sequel. But his Pray for Paris, me and many other hip-hop fans think is arguably one of the best albums to drop this year. While it's not really top 10 for me, the beats, production, vocals, verses, themes, all were really on point. And overall, it didn't do much different from the past, or it didn't do much different from his Supreme Violento project, but it ended up sounding way better and way more mature and relaxed. So I expected the exact same thing from Who Made the Sunshine. And also on top of that, this is the shady debut from Griselda, or from Westside. This is his shady debut, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure the Conway shady debut is dropping in a couple months or so, but whatever. We're here. We're going to learn Who Made the Sunshine on this new project with easily some of the best album art I've seen all year. I don't know, I just love this little kid drawing with a blood splat on it. Has nothing to do with the content on the album. I'm very sure that was made way before this was recorded, but it actually is a genuinely really cool cover art, and I really like the look of it overall. It's a little horrorcore creepy, which this project does have some of those sounds on it. But we open with the Sunshine intro, which was an interesting way for the album to open up. It's a speech from A.A. Rashid? I think it's Rashid. I think that's his name. It opens with a speech from him about the sun and how it doesn't do anything but just make light. And while what he's saying isn't technically wrong, it's an interesting way to open up the album on a theme that will never be revisited on the album ever. It's an interesting intro, yeah, and I kind of like it as just this AA just sounding totally high, talking about how the fucking sun does nothing. But it's not anything deep. And it's not nearly as cool as the Morgan Freeman intro I heard the other day, so whatever. But then we get the track The Butcher and the Blade. Also, I do want to point out on that intro track, it uses an almost identical instrumental to one of the best tracks off of Pray for Paris, George Bondo. It has nearly an identical beat, which that beat is continued into The Butcher and the Blade, the first track, although the beat on The Butcher and the Blade is a little higher pitched. It literally sounds like George Bondo to me. Like that, and that is one of my favorite tracks off of Pray for Paris, but still. And also has the same features, Conway and Benny are on it, which Conway, Benny, and Westside are basically the three main people on. They're the people who started Griselda. But Butcher and the Blade is actually a really great track to me. It has a lot of energy to it. The beat is very similar to George Bondo, like I said. It isn't exactly identical. It's a little bit different, but the verses are really great. I like Westside Gunn's verse a lot. But in usual fashion, I think Conway kills it. Conway's been on a roll, though, with his phenomenal From King to a God project. Phenomenal work there, so I was expecting something great and he delivered. And Benny also does great as usual. So overall, all three of the Griselda members do great on the song, and overall it ends up being a pretty energetic, nice, fun track. Then we're given Ishkabibble, which is a nice horror-courting, dark-sounding song. I loved Black Thought's performance. And also in terms of features, this is a great album. Most criticisms I will give this project will be targeted not at the features, because every single feature on this project did their A game. And the production also sounds great from how many different producers Westside has on this project. Like, he produces on it. I'm pretty sure The Alchemist produces a couple times. There's a lot of really great production on this. But Ishkabibble sounds great, has a nice dark sound. It's a good track. It's not one of the best, but it is a lot of fun to me. Then we're given the track All Praises, which upon 2 listens of the project has ended up being my favorite both times. It is probably the most thematic track on the project. It's rapping a lot about how we made it. We might die. It's a lot of ghetto stuff you hear and rap every day, but I like it for that. Boldy James, I've really been positive on this man thus far. I mean, I wasn't too positive on his Versace tape, but everything is released prior to that, and especially his Price of Tea in China, or Price of Tea from China, right? That was the name, yeah. That project back in February. Freaking great. One of my favorite albums of the year. Alchemist production kills it. Amazing stuff right there. And Jadakiss comes in. I haven't heard Jadakiss's actually project this year, which I probably should listen to before the end. I haven't heard anything from Jadakiss, though, so I should probably hear some more from him. But they do great. Westside kills it, too. And also, this track is from my favorite producer of the year, The Alchemist, whom has been doing so much production. I love it. And apparently, we're getting a new project from him in a couple weeks, which could very actually likely be like a freaking, not even joking, an MF Doom project. Like, if that is the case, that's what fans are predicting. It probably won't be, but if that's the case, come on. He already dropped Alfredo. Loved that. One of my favorite projects of the year. Like I already mentioned, Price of Tea in China. Love that one. And Lulu, a Conway project. Really like that one too. I think he's dropped another one. I'm not sure though. But overall, any production from The Alchemist this year sounds great, and this track is my favorite, almost for The Alchemist production. Then we get Big Bashes, which is a track that is not very useful to the project. I like it, but it's not that useful, and it doesn't really serve any purpose to Westside Gunn or anything else of the project, but I do enjoy it for what it is. Then we have Loves Lugers, which weirdly enough is a really great track. Alchemist production on point. Armani Caesar comes in with the hook and I think a verse of her own, and they both sound really nice. They sound really pretty. They sound really braggadocious. I really like it. This is the first time I've ever heard Armani Caesar, unless she was on Pray for Paris. I'm not sure, or any other projects in this group, but I really like her. I think she was on Conway's thing. But this is the first time I knew about Armani Caesar, and I listened to it. I thought she sounded great on this. But the one problem I actually had with this track was Westside's verse, because this shit's fucking disgusting. I mean, okay, look, I don't dislike Westside Gunn, and I, without question, am not one who finds incredibly sexually explicit lyrics awful or disturbing. But whenever you do it, there's got to be a fun side to it, or the track has to be at least in that vein. This track, I guess, is in that vein, but for some reason, when I hear Westside Gunn talking about this, it's just the way he describes it, the way Westside Gunn already raps. He doesn't always sound the most pleasant to get through. He has a lot of talent. Great rapper. I'm not saying he's bad. But to get through his verses isn't nearly as easy as some other rappers. Now when he's talking about standing on a woman's neck, and it's just weird. I don't dislike it. It's just a verse that made me generally, the way he talks about it, just generally made me uncomfortable. Maybe that's a personal thing. I don't know. I just really, it's one of those verses where it's like, when you make a love song, it's really weird. Unless you're Kanye West. Unless you're Kanye West doing Bound 2, whom does very explicit, on Bound 2 he says, I want to fuck you, sorry, in the kitchen. Like that, yeah, that he says that, but it makes sense why. It's in the context of the Kanye West. But with Westside Gunn, I don't know why he can say that. It's just weird to me. Kanye West has a completely separate personality than Westside Gunn. But maybe I'm just nitpicking. I just really didn't care for Westside's verse. Then we have Ocean Prime, which is one of the biggest, grandest tracks, and I like it a lot for that. This could actually be considered one of my favorites on the project, mostly for Slick Rick's verse. My God, this guy is still a legend. This guy was a legend in the 80s, and he still is. He kills it. Slick Rick has such a voice that you recognize wherever he is. Busta Rhymes is also on this project, or on this track, and I didn't care much for his verse. And I mostly didn't care much for it because I think Busta Rhymes does not sound really that good anymore. I can't really remember the last time Busta Rhymes like came into the verse and like killed it. He seems like one of those rappers that you get on your project and everybody knows him, but like really he hasn't released anything of memorability in like a good 10 years. But you know, I don't hate him. I love a lot of his tracks, so I got to admit he has had some good things in the past. He is freaking Busta Rhymes, but I just didn't really care for him on this track. We have Lessie, which I have so little to say about. I like Keisha Plum's part at the end. It's a little monotone, but I like it for that. Westside Gunn's verse has a lot of personality. He kind of just does what Westside Gunn does, which I'm fine with. He does what he wants to do very well. It's a nice track, not amazing, but it is fun. Then we're giving the track Frank Murphy, which has one of the creepiest beats on the project, which I like. The only problem is that this track is way too long. In a lot of ways that I found upon a couple more listens, I found the Friday Night Cypher on Detroit 2, a project I was very positive on. I found that Friday Night Cypher did not really get better upon listens. The Eminem, Royce, and Big Sean parts are all great, but everyone else just kind of came in and just sat there, rapped for like 30, 15 seconds, like actually around 30 seconds, just left. This track comes across the same. There's a lot of really cool stuff on this, a lot of cool verses, but overall, why would I want to get to like the 10th verse on the or maybe like, let's just estimate 6th verse on this is great. Why am I going to sit through the other 5 when they're not great? It's a track that overall is 8 minutes, and I don't really know why it's 8 minutes. Westside Gunn, though, does get my favorite verse, one of my favorite verses from him on this project. Just overall, it's just kind of 8 minutes of okay verses. In the same way, Saturday Night Cypher was just 9 minutes of okay verses. The only difference with Saturday Night Cypher was the production is really cool, and I like Hit Boy's sound on that. Overall, the production of Frank Murphy is nice, but it's not really that striking. And overall, Eminem's verse on that was freaking amazing. On here, there's no really like amazing blowing away verse. So overall, I don't know how much I felt this track needed to be on here, but it's still solid. Then we have the track Good Night, which I really like, and I mostly like it again for another Slick Rick verse, an even better verse this time. He spends a lot more time, he gets a lot more time on this to tell a story, to get more really aggressive, really fun, as I just love Slick Rick's voice. This is going to get me more into his stuff, because I've never really been always into Slick Rick, but man, these 2 verses really have gotten me more fond of this man, because man, he has such a cool voice. And this is 2020, like, I know Children's Story from, I believe, like, the 1980s. Like, this man still sounds amazing. He's still such a distinct voice. So it's a great track, one of my favorites on the project. And then 98 Saber is another track I really liked. It opens with lines from, you know, Biggie's Who Shot Ya, the classic, why am I forgetting them right now? Oh, as we proceed to give you what you need, 9-5 motherfuckers got life motherfuckers. It's a nice track. It's probably the darkest, angriest track on the project, with a really fun Armani performance. But her verse on this sounds just like Nicki Minaj. It literally, I was so surprised. I literally thought, did Nicki Minaj literally just rap on this? Did she literally go on a Westside Gunn project? She didn't at all, but Armani raps like the same lyrics sound. It's not like the same, like what Nicki Minaj does like on her popular hits. I mean more, if Nicki Minaj were going a technical rap song, what would she sound like? She'd sound like this verse. And then it has nice verses though from Conway and Benny and Westside, and I think overall it's a fun, dark, good track that overall works to the album's benefit. Who Made the Sunshine was really good in my opinion, and I really enjoyed most of the 40 minutes of this project, besides a couple of the spots on the Frank Murphy track. But overall, I was pleased when I walked out of this project. Felt like this did what I expected Westside Gunn to do on another album. I didn't really go much farther than that. I don't think this is better than Pray for Paris, but I don't think this is much worse than Pray for Paris. I think for me, Pray for Paris was just more grown up, if that makes sense. It was a little more mature, and they're just, generally speaking, not many flaws I had with that project. I found almost every track on that project really engaging and nice. But on this one, there are a couple tracks I didn't find so engaging, and a couple verses and spots I just could have done without. But overall, as terms of Westside Gunn projects go, I do really like this. I think I probably would rank this second on his whole discography, maybe third. I don't know if I like this more than Supreme Violental or not. It's by Violentelli. But overall, it's a nice project. It's 40 minutes. It didn't really leave me with much amazingness. It gave me what I expect from Griselda. But I do want to point something out, though, in this review. Griselda has been... Griselda has been going non-stop with these projects. And I like it. I like hearing Griselda because I really like what these guys do. And on top of From King to a God, that project is one of my favorites of the year. It's number 6 on my list of best albums of the year. So I like what they're doing. But with this project, it's kind of shown to me that they can get repetitive. So if I'm going to hear a new, I'm excited for the new Conway thing because it has really cool features on it. It will probably be grand, big, epic album. But, I mean, is Benny the Butcher just going to come from like 20-minute project, just sit there and rap about what he always raps about? I mean, I'm a little worried for this group because I'm worried that they're going to keep doing what they do on Who Made the Sunshine. But overall, I liked it from front to end. I don't really have any flaws with the project. Could have done with maybe 1 or 2 tracks, but overall I liked it, and I thought it was an enjoyable experience overall. And yeah, not as good as Savage Mode 2. That album has still getting better for me, but this was a solid project. And I might be a little let down. I might be a little not as like glowing positive on this because I did wait a solid month for this. So I was waiting a lot longer for this than other people were. But I was waiting like 2 months, 3 months for this thing when it was announced back in July. But whatever. I'm feeling a solid B+ from Who Made the Sunshine. It's not great. Maybe I'd say it's great, but it's not amazing. But at the end of the project, I could say, yeah, I really enjoyed what they did there. That was a pretty good project. I was pretty solid. I'll be reviewing Anniversary tomorrow or as soon as I can. I will review that Anniversary project. It's Bryson Tiller. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I should look that up. And then I will be dropping a very long podcast-style video with the Tatermeister ranking all 14 Nas albums. It will be fun, it will be long, and it will be big. And then I am also coming with a new album video where I'm going to go over all the projects I listened to in September. Not September, October. I wrote that in the tweet. August and September. So it's a lot of albums I've heard recently that I want to review and talk about, just like I've done in the past. So yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.